Welcome, viewing several once again to my little series I like to call Hands Up. Who loves a train set? I do. So I think this is episode 63 or 64 of this series, and this is one of the last. I've still got one or two left. I bought a bunch of really cheap sets that were all kind of no bids on them, sort of 20 quid-ish mark, and this was one of them. So this is a GWR freight set by Hornby Railways. It is from 1980 the set came out, according to the Hornby collector site. I picked this one up just because I want to have a look at one from that era. So you can see it's one of these boxes where they have that thing on the reverse, and you've got the, so that's kind of like the front, including mains controller, which at the time was probably a relatively new thing. You can see you've got a tunnel with it and a level crossing, and a number of wagons, which it says there scenic accessories not included, but there aren't any scenic accessories unless you count that tunnel, which I don't know why they would picture that. But yeah, you get one of these, although in this set we didn't get that. We got a different piece, which we'll see when we look in it. Anyway, what's on the side? So you get a first radius track, which is why I buy these, because I can try them out on my desk here at the end. So let's have a look inside. Right, so here we go. Right, so the first thing to notice is we've got one of these controllers, which they're not very nice, these, they're a bit rubbish, but to be honest, in 1980 I might have been pleased to have one of these, because all I'd had was a battery controller, which was even worse. Although in 1980 was the year that I got my first N-gauge set, which is Graham Farish set, and I had an H&M Rocket, which was like a little, which I still got somewhere in the loft. So that was the first mains controller I had. So what have we got? Generous for 4 wagons, which is always nice. I think if we look at the box, they look like these are the right wagons that are shown on the box. So you got your ubiquitous Arnold Sands plank wagon. There's another one of these 5 plank wagons. Is it 5 or 6? Basic stuff, but they're all right, and they're quite nice for small layouts because they're nice and short. Then there was a lot of these made in the 70s and 80s. I've had a Kellogg's one and various other ones over the years. That one's McVitie's, and then how many millions of these have they made? So this one's Texaco, but they did Shell in yellow, and the grey one I believe was Esso, if I remember the one I had. So at this point, this thing, the Holden 040, which I think had been out a couple of years by the time we get to 1980. I think it's 1978, I can't remember now. It's got a buffer missing. I've got one of these in this livery that's a Chinese made one, but this is made in Margate one. So that will probably run so fast that on a first radius corner it could end up in space if you're not careful. Although not with this controller, because these things don't seem to put out very much voltage. I don't know if that is because they're all rubbish. With time they've degraded, but all the ones I've tried, they only seem to put out like 6 volts at most, and that keeps it nice and slow, as we'll see when we run it. So we've got first radius loop, we've got the old power clip, and we've got this came with it, but this is a decoupling ramp. Now I should have probably tried to use this in my shunting game that I play in later on, but the reason I didn't is because I could always put some fish plates on it, but it's just difficult to clean with the track rubber, so I just didn't do that. And then you got the level crossing, which I assumed wasn't complete, because I assumed there was a bit like this that was different for the level crossing, but maybe that's not. So I'll show the level crossing put together, but I'm not gonna set it up on the test run. Yeah, so maybe the level crossing is complete, but it's not very solid, and because I've limited to space, I'm not using it. Okay. So what we'll do is we're going to do several things. I'm going to do number one, I'm going to set it up as it is with this controller, with the loop that comes with it. I will replace this piece with a normal straight piece of the Made in Austria steel track that is this type. I'll run that. Then what we'll do is we will see what the difference is with a more modern Hornby controller. So the kind of like late 90s, early noughties one. We'll try that and see what the difference is. And then after that, we might expand the loop, add a set of sidings, and just see if it will shunt, because that's always a fun thing to do. Now normally I would do that in one session, but I was filming this last night, and what I normally do is I normally film the running for stuff first with an old set like this, because I don't know how well it's going to run, so I like to get that all filmed before I do this bit, because usually there's a lot of mucking about to get it running reliably. So this morning I extended the track and I did the shunting, but it's still, and I did try some last night, but because I had to do so many takes, it's now kind of like Sunday afternoon, so so we'll put that together and see what it comes out like. There's a lot of outtakes, so with I could do an outtake reel with, but I haven't worked out how to bleep out swearing in iMovie, so if I can work out that, I might put some clips of the, you know, the disasters in. Right, let's get it set up. Right, welcome everybody to the track. Here we are again. So, been waiting all day for this. It's getting late now, and I've been spent most of the day doing chores and tidying up. I was up early to take the missus to the railway station. She's away this week, so I thought tonight I'll have a bit of a play with the train set that I've not tried yet. But it also means tomorrow I'm hoping I can get some of the bigger sets in the on the parquet floor in the living room set up. So I might do that if it's not baking hot. So here we are. So what have we got? Well, we've got the track that came with it, which is the original 1983, as far as I know, if it's from the set. Austrian made by Roco steel track. Now the fish plates are quite worn, so you get, you know, and it's quite difficult to get it nicely aligned. I've cleaned the rail head with the Pico ink rubber, track rubber, and I am using this controller that came with the set, which is horrible, but you know, we've got to start with the set as is and this power clip. So for your Brucey bonus today, what I'll probably do is I may replace all of this with a modern Hornby first radius, add some sidings, and we'll do a HUWLATS shunt with a better controller. Probably just going to use a later Hornby, like the 963 or whatever. So these ones are pretty horrible. I don't know if let's just see, is that on camera there? Yes, so it's got this thumb wheel, and you've got to, there's almost nothing until you get to there. But let's see if it will start off slow. The track is quite rickety because it's quite old, but it's actually working all right. Like I say, the rail head is clean, and the sides are quite sort of weathered now. That one probably needs to be bent slightly, which I might do to stop that from going up and down. So that's actually not running too bad. So I think this one, I've got one of these that's a later one that's made in China with that livery, and it can run quite slow. This is I thought maybe they've replaced it with one of those, but when you look underneath it says made in Margate, so it is one of the old ones, which is and I think these are the original wagons. So anyway, let's just let it go round. I'm gonna have a sip of this because it's very hot in here. That's better. So these controllers are quite difficult to use. That thumb wheel is very stiff. I can imagine it'd be frustrating as a young child to own one of those. You'd probably find your thumb hurting from trying to turn it, and I've got pretty bad arthritis in my fingers at the moment. It's flared up and it's quite painful to actually try and put the amount of force in needed to turn that. Now I don't know if that's always the way. I've got a few of these and they're all pretty poor. This one I put some new connectors on so it would plug into the track clip and just soldered them on. I'm running out of these now. I bought a load of these spares years ago and I've got kind of like fish plates and everything, and I'm kind of running out of them now. I had to replace a few fish plates here. They probably all need doing. If you're going to use this track, you probably would need to replace all the fish plates, and that'd probably be a lot better. But that's actually running quite nicely. So let's go up to full whack on this controller. If you put a voltmeter on these things, they don't kick out much voltage. Ooh, something's happened there, isn't it? So I'm not sure what that is. We might have to put the test card up. But let's have a look. So go backwards. No. We can cover that, I think. It's just there's such a long way when you want to reverse with these controllers. There's such a big bit in the middle where nothing happens. Now that could be partly the track, but I think the main problem is the controller. But what we'll do to be scientific about it, after we've run it for a bit like this, I'll put a better controller on there, you know, like a 90s Hornby one, which we know is good, and we'll just see if it's any better. If it's not, we'll put the modern first radius loop, and then we'll stick some points in and we'll have a bit of a shunt, because it's always fun, isn't it? Nothing else to do tonight but have a couple of beers and have a play with this. Right, tell you what, that's going down well now. I've been sorting out stuff all day today. I've got list a load of watches on eBay. I've got dozens of old watches, quartz ones and mechanical ones that I never use, and I've been going through the big box, testing them, putting batteries in the quartz ones, and I'm just going to put a load of job lots. Yeah, so that, whoops, so what's happened here is this track has come apart there. So what I'm going to do, I'll just stop that there. Right, so we're back, and let's see what we've learned so far. Right, okay, so interestingly enough, those controllers, they're terrible to use, and they've got a big, you know, when you try to reverse, there's almost half the travel between the thumb wheel. Nothing happens, and when I've measured, I've got 3 or 4 of them, and they don't put out much voltage. Now that might be deliberate on the part of Hornby, because with this controller, which I think is Hornby's best train set controller that they've ever done by a country mile, they replaced this one with that really ugly silver thing that was awful, and then they've got the sort of the one after that, which is not too bad, but it's very low powered, and it works with their modern sets. but this can put out, I think this does, these can put out like 750 milliamps, so, and there's a lot of control, and they've got a switch to control the direction, so they are a lot better. So when I was a kid, I had the battery controllers, and they were absolutely awful. And he had a lot of train sets in the 70s with those horrible battery controllers, terrible battery technology. And I probably would have been really grateful for a controller like that one that came with this. But these days, it's just terrible. So if I turn this one up, this thing will come flying off the track, no problem, and I'll have to catch it with a baseball glove on the corner. Maybe show you that later. But anyway, let's go. The other thing that I've bent this piece of track. It probably still needs bending. And I think, you know, I can improve the running by bending, crimping, and in some cases replacing fish plates. And the track is old, and it's probably been knocked about a bit, and it's been used. So you could get this track a lot flatter. I haven't done it, but that's actually running pretty nicely now. And so yeah, I think the other thing is I haven't got the level crossing piece on here because it wasn't in. It should be in the set, but it wasn't. What we had instead was a kind of decouple ramp. So the thing with that is it's actually quite hard to clean the rail head on those because of the way the plastics are. So I just replaced it with a normal straight. But this is the track from the set, but with one piece of the time, which is an Austrian made piece. Right, let's speed her up a little bit. I'm not going to go full because it will come off. This jobbing here, I've mucked about with the fish plate. It's still got quite a bit of a bump, and I think this piece here, yeah, this, you can see that there, right? What I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the camera and I'm going to bend this. So this one was yeah, so this is concave, so I'm going to see if I can bend that. Right, here we are, we're back again. So let's remove that bounce from that bit of track. So I think this track is actually fine. The fish plates could probably need a bit of bending and a bit of tweaking, and they can be improved. So I'm just going to up the speed a little bit, but oh yeah, see, we've still got an issue here with this particular join. There is like a bump there. I'm not sure how best to deal with this. I think a replacement fish plate would probably be the thing. Let's just turn that around and see if it makes a difference. Yeah, that's not that particular fish, but I don't think I've got any fish plates left now, unless I go to my box of old track and start pulling fish plates off some of the older track. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let's try something here. But actually now that's pretty good. So a new fish plate has fixed that, and that rail is now level. So this one, yeah, I don't know if you can see this, but that's the offending one. Right, so I'm aware that this might become quite long, but I may need to cut this down a bit. So that's running really nice, and there's a lot more on this controller. We can go that fast, which I'm not going to do because that will come off on the corner. but to be honest, that amount of movement in there is not a problem, and also if it's banking that way, it's probably an advantage. You can go around faster, to be honest. But, so we've had a lot of fish plates slipping, and we've had track wobbling, but it's okay now. So it didn't actually take that much, and this is actually quite a nice little set. So this is 1983, this one, and if I'd have had time, I could have done, I forget what this is called, GWR freight, this one. But yeah, so anyway, that's pretty nice, I think. So I think what I'm going to do now is, now as we're having fun, let's see if we can find, let's find another one of these and a point and something to make a siding, and see if we can do some shunting. Why not? Right, here we go. So I've added some more pieces of the track of the similar vintage. So these pieces are all steel Austrian made track from my box of that stuff. Obviously I've got the modern stuff made in China, is actually quite a bit better, but you know, we're trying to keep this you know, contemporary or whatever, so in the sense that it's of the time it was, you know. So I'm just gonna, right, so what I'm gonna do is, you can see how this thing picks up so quick. So what I'm going to do is we will just form the train as we had it before, first of all. So we'll come back for this. Now, as always, when you're coupling up on stuff that's very short straights, you sometimes find it's difficult. So I've got this for decoupling, and I've got this, my West Hill Wagon Works decoupler. So rather than try to use the decoupling ramps, which introduce, you know, more variables that could be a problem. So I've got this old track, and we've got now got points, and we've got various things, and that already when you're trying to do shunting, when you're just running around, it's fine. When you're trying to do shunting, there can be a number of things that can go wrong with that. So the shunting ramps probably not just another one of those things. So I'm going to try and use this. This is not always that easy to use, and I think maybe I might even trim the sides down a millimetre or two either side. So anyway, let's see if we can go and pick these wagons up, shall we? So we have got a buffer at the other end, which, come on, no, it didn't pick it up. That should have coupled this time. And we're on the point, so we need to give her a bit of encouragement. There we go. So this will work better, you know, with more space, bearing in mind that we're limited for space here. Right, so we've had a lot of problems getting this to work. Positioning of these things. So I need, that's not even on the rails. Right, I need enough room behind, if I'm going to pick up all four wagons, I need enough room for all four and the loco behind this. The loco's getting snagged on these, so we are going to have to give it a helping hand. There's these 040s. They don't deal with these that well. I've had to use a modern Chinese point. I've got Gary's granddad here supervising. He's come from his house over there. He's retired now, but he used to work on the railway, and he's not impressed with my shunting. He stood there shaking his head and tutting. So let's see if we can pick up these wagons and then those wagons. Alright, so we've got those. That's the easy part. The bit I've had to do a lot of takes of is this next part. We're going to go back into this siding. See, we keep getting stuck at low speed, which is a problem really, because we need to be at a low speed, otherwise we're going to cause ourselves other problems. So it's disappointing that these automatic decouplers are not as good as the on older systems like Series 3 and Super 4 Triang. You actually could lower and raise these ramps. It's not just a spring, you could actually use a lever to do that. Now Hornby do them, but they aren't very good because they don't really work unless you put them on a, and see it's decoupled that already at a low speed. So you can see there's a few issues. That's what I'm going to try and do, and now it's stuck on the points. So it's not the most fun, in fact it's quite frustrating, because the placement of that now means that I'm going to have to come back to there, and all this mucking about, we just end up derailing. So let's put it back on the rails, and the problem is we've got these tension lock couplings on tight radiuses. They don't really like it, and really what you need to do is you need to right, so we'll try and, so in the second manoeuvre I'm going to try and leave the let's try and leave the back two wagons here. So I don't think we'll be able to do it, quite frankly, but we'll give it a go. Okay, so far so good. And now I'm going to try and shove them in there, like that. Go on you know you want to go. It's annoying, it's very frustrating when it just doesn't want to work. That was my fault. Got the switch wrong. So come back. Oh God. Well, it would seem that doing this completely sober is I'm performing worse. I don't know what that tells you, but there we go. Yeah, this is the next day because it got too late to do this last night. So right, we do get stuck on that, but that's, I'm afraid, what you get with one of these little 040s, and then we've lost that. Let's imagine that worked for the time being. Now we might lose some wagons with the bumps going over there. Yeah, we do. So one of the things you can do on small shunting layouts is you can remove a coupling hook, and that really does help with coupling and decoupling, especially if you're using a little stick to decouple. It really works well. If you've only got one to unhook, you can get your little thing and you can do it. The problem is, what I've got here today is the track is very uneven. These things aren't great, but you can see them. There's a fine margin between working and not working, and we've gone either side of that margin with the amount of play in the track. So that's a shame, but that's just the way it is. But you know, we've got to give this a go. That's all right, isn't it? It's not too bad. Let's try and put the whole train back in here. Gary's granddad's told us off because he said this tank is too close to the locomotive. Right, okay. Now, can I get this to decouple? No, because right, it should. It's now over it, so it should go. Right, yeah, okay. So, yeah, the lesson is here in this kind of space. and if you're not nailing the track down, it's a lot harder to shunt. And then you've got to get these in the right position, and the track doesn't want to be moving about too much. But you know, you get the basic idea. It basically works. So I've got my next series I'm going to do is like a shunting championships. So I've built a little board with 3 points that are live frog points, and I'm going to be running a lot of these train sets on it. Drop them 2 off, back in, and park up. And Gary's granddad will come along and shout at me in the driver's cab and go, that was, what a bloody hell was that load of rubbish. Right, okay, so let's call that a day. I'll pack this away, yeah, and we'll have the running shots as well at some point.